From the Spurs' #1 pick, hyping up the crowd during his NBA debut, to getting stuck in a tough spot with none other than Britney Spears, this is the real reason Victor Wembanyama is sitting out. Wemby sold out the Thomas & Mack Center in his NBA debut. The 7'5", 19-year-old got selected as the #1 overall pick by the Spurs. It was a huge deal. The hype surrounding him has been off the charts ever since his high school days. Teams planned their strategies around the opportunity to draft him, and experts have claimed that he might as well be one of the greatest players ever. Everyone wanted him, so the pressure on the day of his debut was insane, and it seemed to affect him too. You see, his first game wasn't exactly the best. Can't blame him, though. The chaotic Vegas Summer League environment was super overwhelming for the young star, but his performance was still statistically balanced, because he's the kind of person who showed up 3 hours early for the draft, only to practice walking on stage. Everything with him is planned, but the Summer League is pure chaos. And that night was the craziest ever. The arena was completely sold out, and the media swarm almost blocked his path to the court. He also had to wait a long time in the tunnel because the last game ran late, which made him even more nervous on the court, and eventually struggled to perform at his best. You see, his shots didn't quite find their mark, and that had everybody in the crowd disappointed. But to his credit, he still found ways to contribute defensively and as a facilitator helping the Spurs secure a victory. True basketball fans could see beyond the surface and see that his performance wasn't all that bad. After all, he has the talent and a deep understanding of the game along with his insane physical gifts. But for casual fans, his underwhelming game became a very popular topic of discussion, with some questioning whether he was a bust. It wasn't until his second game, where he exploded for 27 points, 12 rebounds, 3 blocks, and a steal, that the people doubting him finally got told. The fact that he was able to adapt to the Vegas environment and the intensity of the crowd after only one game is impressive, especially considering his young age and maturity. In his second game, he was more confident and comfortable, showing up with his 100% and even seen slapping himself repeatedly in the face before stepping onto the court, showing his determination and drive. My man literally did it 10 times because of how pumped he was. The hype surrounding the rookie is real, and it's not just because of his huge size, it has more to do with his awesome guarding skills that make him a rare talent in the NBA, which reveals more about his true character. Similar to Anthony Davis and Kevin Durant, he's a scorer and a student of the game, who happens to have an extraordinary physical form. He's a very thoughtful player too, not one who relies only on being dominant physically, like Big Shaq. I mean, my man enjoys reading books and building Legos in his free time too. It's clear that while he's super competitive, he isn't only focused on being physically imposing. His mindset and approach to the game are just as unique as his towering frame. Maybe because he always stood out from a young age thanks to his size and lived up to the expectations around him growing up. Either way, he has a special ability to handle his international superstardom despite his young age. You see, he oozes with skill and has clearly been through some hardcore media training to be the next king. It's probably time for King James to hang up his sneakers and make way for him, because he's following the same path he did when he was young. Well, sort of. He deeply respects the expectations placed on him and the incredible potential his career has. This might explain why his initial performance was underwhelming, because he recognizes the magnitude of what's at stake, how many people want to see him succeed, and the historic importance his career could achieve if everything aligns perfectly. Rest assured, his Summer League debut hasn't shaken anybody's faith in his potential. In fact, experts have listed several reasons why the young player is special, especially from a character standpoint, as they have fewer concerns about him than almost any other top pick from the last 10 years. Besides, he's incredibly coachable, has a strong desire to win, aims to please, loves to learn, and is honest in his self-assessment. This kid obviously has the potential to be a vocal leader too, and his selflessness and team-oriented mentality is remarkable. While there will be games when shots don't fall, and challenges in getting him to embrace the role of a rebounder, considering his physique tailored for dominating the boards, any concerns about his future in the NBA at this point are invalid. If the buzz in Vegas this week is any indication, the Spurs are in for an electrifying opening night that will be remembered for generations to come, especially since he's already gotten used to life in the NBA with them. Sure, he had a tough time in his debut against the Charlotte Hornets, but his performance against the Blazers showed his true potential. Despite the Spurs' 85-80 loss to Portland, he delivered an impressive showing with 27 points on 9 of 14 shooting, along with 12 rebounds and 3 blocks. As the first overall pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, he entered the league with a lot of hype. Besides, during his time with Metropolitans '92, he attracted NBA scouts with his skills and nearly helped his team secure a championship. Last season, he played a total of 62 games and stood out in the French League Finals as well, where his team fell short against Monaco. His outstanding performance throughout the season earned him the league MVP title, as he averaged remarkable statistics of 21.6 points, 10.4 rebounds, 2.4 assists, and 3 blocks per game. Granted, he wasn't the best in his debut, but he's only started to adapt to the NBA thanks to the Summer League and adjust to the American style of play. When asked about the differences between European basketball and the NBA, he thinks that the NBA offers a more open court and faster pace, but is less physically demanding compared to his experience in Europe. While he acknowledges being fouled less in the NBA, he appreciates the high level of athleticism and talent displayed by his fellow players. In recent years, we've seen the rise of international players who began their careers overseas and then made huge impacts in the NBA. I'm talking superstars like Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Luka Doncic, who all started their basketball journeys in Serbia, Greece, and Slovenia before they eventually found success in the NBA. Wemby plans to follow in their footsteps as he embarks on his NBA career with the Spurs. Despite struggling in his debut against the Hornets, where he shot just 2 for 13 from the field, he bounced back in his second Summer League game against the Blazers. Although the Spurs faced a 16-point deficit entering the fourth quarter, he played a very important role in narrowing the gap to just 1 point with a three-pointer. While the Spurs ultimately fell short, his performance made it clear that his difficulties in the previous game were due to his relative inexperience, not a lack of skill or talent. Besides, he knows how important the remaining offseason is as he continues to develop his game. He's eager to learn from his head coach, Greg Popovich, and sees the upcoming months changing the course of his basketball journey. Sure, he sat out the Spurs versus Washington Wizards game, which prevented a reunion with his former Metropolitans '92 teammate, Bilal Coulibaly, who was drafted by the Wizards as the 7th overall pick, but he'll have more chances to play against him later when he isn't sitting out. That is, if he can steer clear from controversies like the one with Britney Spears, which happened just weeks after he was selected as the #1 overall pick. Funnily enough, it wasn't even him who caused the controversy. Instead, it was his security guard who got accused of assaulting Britney. Understandably, she wasted no time filing a police report claiming that a member of Wemby's security detail slapped her while the Spurs rookie was entering a restaurant in Sin City. An eyewitness also caught the whole thing, revealing that Britney actually approached Wemby from behind, but his guard turned around, and well, you know the rest. What's shocking is that all she wanted was a picture with the young star, but his guard hit her hard enough to send her glasses flying off and causing her to fall. Of course, Wemby couldn't avoid being sucked into the drama. He later claimed that she grabbed him from behind. Wemby admitted that he knew someone was calling his name, but didn't know exactly who it was, which is why he decided to keep moving, only to find out later that it's Britney. All jokes aside, she went on Twitter and described the whole situation as traumatic and pointed out how he didn't even apologize publicly. Hopefully he, or at least the Spurs, apologize for what happened because it's not a good look. So from getting stuck in a tough spot with none other than Britney Spears to the Spurs' #1 pick hyping up the crowd during his NBA debut, this was the real reason Victor Wembanyama is sitting out.